"Security, we've got a suspected shoplifter eyeing the Cartier display." The elegant black woman doesn't so much as flinch at the whispered words. She continues examining the $80,000 0 cents diamond necklace with the steady focus of someone who understands the piece better than most jewelers. Behind a sheet of bulletproof glass, store manager Derek Martinez watches her with a sneer curling at his lips. She overhears Derek's remark clearly. Her hand pauses mid-air. For a second, her eyes lock on her reflection in the diamond's finely cut surface. And in that moment, something sharp flickers across her face. Not anger, but cold calculation. The kind that signals a storm is coming. What would you do if you overheard this about yourself? Drop a comment. Where are you watching from tonight? She slowly turns toward Derek, and her expression shifts from surprise to something far more dangerous. 30 minutes earlier, Dr. Amara Williams slides out of her black Tesla Model S, wearing deliberately understated attire. No Hermes bag. No obvious jewelry beyond simple gold studs. No designer labels screaming wealth. She's conducting unannounced quality audits across her retail empire, testing whether her company's values survive contact with street-level reality. The irony stings already. She built Williams Luxury Holdings specifically to create spaces where people like her, black, ambitious, uncompromising, could shop without facing the degradation she experienced climbing corporate ladders. Yet here she stands, preparing to test whether her own employees have internalized the poison she spent decades fighting. Inside Prestige Diamond Gallery, Derek Martinez orchestrates customer service like a conductor leading a symphony of snobbery. When the elderly white man in the $1,000 suit inquires about $200,000 0 cents pieces, Derek personally escorts him to the private viewing room, offering champagne and detailed provenance stories. His voice carries the warm professionalism of someone who recognizes his own kind. This particular Bulgari piece was crafted in their Rome atelier, Derek explains, his tone reverent. The emeralds were sourced from Colombia's Muzo mines. Absolutely exquisite craftsmanship. The customer nods appreciatively, while Derek spreads velvet trays across mahogany tables, each gesture designed to reinforce the buyer's status and worth. No mention of financial verification, no questions about price range, just seamless service between members of an exclusive club. Amara enters quietly, her trained eye immediately cataloging the store's strengths. Immaculate displays, proper lighting, security measures that protect without intimidating legitimate customers. Her investment has created something beautiful, a space where luxury feels accessible rather than fortress-like. But Derek's posture shifts the moment she approaches the diamond section. His shoulders stiffen, his eyes narrow. He exchanges a meaningful glance with associate Jennifer, who whispers something that makes him smirk with ugly satisfaction. From Derek's perspective, red flags multiply rapidly. Young black woman, casual dress, no obvious wealth signals, shopping alone. His mental algorithm, honed by years of retail prejudice disguised as loss prevention, categorizes her as potential threat rather than potential customer. Amara begins her professional examination, producing a jeweler's loupe from her pocket. She studies the cut quality of a $45,000 0 cents tennis bracelet with expertise that would impress gemologists. Her knowledge shows in every movement, checking for clarity enhancement, evaluating color grades, assessing mounting security. Derek interprets her careful examination through the lens of his bias. In his mind, she's casing merchandise rather than demonstrating expertise. Her confidence becomes suspicion, her knowledge becomes threat. Her presence becomes problem requiring solution. Derek makes a decision that will change both their lives forever. Derek approaches with the practiced smile of someone about to deliver professionally packaged humiliation. "Ma'am, can I help you find something in your price range?" The pause before price range carries enough condescension to cut diamond. Mara responds with calm professionalism, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to boardrooms and billion-dollar negotiations. I'm interested in seeing the Bulgari collection, specifically the emerald pieces. Those pieces require serious intent to purchase, Derek replies, his eyes scanning her jeans and sneakers with theatrical disapproval. We have beautiful fashion jewelry that might be more appropriate for your needs. He gestures toward the $500 2000 section, like he's offering charity. The insult lands with surgical precision. Amara has faced this dance countless times. In investment meetings where venture capitalists assumed she was the assistant, in boardrooms where colleagues questioned her technical knowledge, in exclusive restaurants where hosts seated her near the kitchen. The geography of discrimination is mapped in her bones. "I'd like to see the Bulgari collection, please," she repeats, her tone carrying just enough steel to let Derek know she won't be dismissed easily. Derek's smile tightens. "Our high-value items require pre-qualification. Do you have recent bank statements or credit verification?" His voice carries the authority of company policy, though no such policy exists. Across the store, the elderly white customer examines $200,000 0-cent pieces, without anyone mentioning bank statements or credit checks. The double standard hangs in the air like expensive perfume, obvious to everyone except those choosing blindness. Other customers notice the exchange. A middle-aged white woman purchasing a $30,000 0-cent Cartier watch pauses to watch the drama unfold. Her husband shifts uncomfortably, recognizing something ugly but lacking courage to intervene. They've never been asked for financial verification. Jennifer watches from behind the counter, her discomfort growing with each word. She knows Derek is improvising policy on the fly, creating obstacles that don't exist for other customers, but speaking up means challenging her manager, risking her commission-based livelihood. The security guard gravitates closer, his movement casual but deliberate. His hand rests near his radio, ready to escalate if Derek signals trouble. The choreography of discrimination plays out with practiced precision. Amara recognizes every step of this familiar ballet. She's performed it in corporate America for decades. The moved goalposts, the sudden policy changes, the requirement to prove worthiness that others receive automatically, the exhaustion of constantly justifying her existence in spaces she helped create. "I understand your policies," she says evenly, reaching for her phone. "Let me make this simple." Derek misinterprets the gesture entirely, his prejudice transforming her reasonable response into perceived threat. Derek's next words will cross a line that can never be uncrossed. "Actually, I'm going to need you to keep your hands visible," Derek says sharply, his professional mask finally slipping to reveal the ugly prejudice beneath. "And I think it's best if you browse our more affordable options." The words hit like physical blows. Amara feels the familiar burn of being reduced to stereotype, stripped of humanity in public space designed for people like her. If people like her means human beings, with dignity and purchasing power. Derek continues his assault, each word chosen for maximum degradation while maintaining plausible deniability. "We've had issues with certain customers getting handsy with merchandise they can't afford. I'm sure you understand." The code language fools no one. Certain customers means black customers. Getting handsy means touching what they're not supposed to touch. Can't afford means don't belong here. Derek translates his bigotry into corporate speak, wrapping hatred in policy paper. Jennifer shifts uncomfortably behind the counter, her complicity growing heavier with each passing second. She knows Derek is manufacturing justification for predetermined conclusions. She's watched him serve dozens of customers without mentioning policies that suddenly materialize for this one woman. The security guard steps closer, his presence designed to intimidate rather than protect. His bulk casts shadow across Amara's examination of the jewelry, a physical reminder that she's unwelcome in this space, her money created. Other customers watch with mixture of horror and morbid fascination. The middle-aged couple purchasing Cartier pieces exchanged uncomfortable glances but remained silent. The elderly man in the private viewing room peers through glass partition, witnessing discrimination, but choosing comfortable distance over difficult intervention. Amara experiences the full weight of the moment, not just personal insult but professional betrayal. This is her store, her business, her employees treating customers with contempt that violates every principle she built her company to embody. The systemic failure is complete. Hiring practices that missed red flags, training programs that failed to instill values, management oversight that allowed poison to flourish. "Are you asking me to leave?" Amara asks clearly, ensuring other customers hear the question that will expose Derek's true intentions. "I'm asking you to shop appropriately for your situation," Derek replies, savoring each syllable of degradation. His voice carries satisfaction of someone putting an uppity black woman in her proper place. From Derek's perspective, justice is being served. In his mind, he's protecting expensive inventory from suspicious character who doesn't belong among decent people. His prejudice has become moral imperative, his discrimination transformed into community service. The projection is complete now. Derek's discomfort becomes everyone else's problem. Amara's mere presence is reframed as disturbance, her dignity as threat, her existence as disruption of natural order that places people like Derek above people like her. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave now," Derek states with finality. "You're making other customers uncomfortable." The security guard approaches with practiced authority. "Miss, time to go." Amara stands at crossroads that define character. She can create scene and be labeled angry black woman, or exit with dignity intact but injustice unchallenged. Instead, she chooses path Derek never considered, strategic patience powered by knowledge he lacks. Amara smiles, and Derek doesn't realize he's just made the biggest mistake of his career. Amara exits with perfect composure, each step calculated to maintain dignity while her mind processes the systematic violations she just experienced. The security guard watches through floor-to-ceiling windows as she walks toward nearby coffee shop, his vigilance confirming Derek's paranoid theories about her suspicious nature. She orders lavender latte and claims window table with clear view of prestige diamond gallery. Her phone becomes command center for what Derek will later recognize as the most expensive 5 minutes of his life. First call connects to Marcus Thompson, her chief operating officer. "Marcus, I need comprehensive audit of Prestige Diamond Gallery management. Hiring records, training documentation, customer complaints, everything from the last 2 years." Her voice carries ice-cold professionalism that Marcus recognizes as prelude to corporate earthquake. "What happened?" Marcus asks, though her tone already answers his question. "Systematic discrimination," Amara replies. "I need documentation proving whether this was isolated incident or pattern. Have someone there within the hour." Second call reaches Rebecca Chin, chief legal counsel. "Rebecca, prepare discrimination documentation. Federal civil rights violations, state law violations, corporate liability assessment." "Yes, I'm the plaintiff." Rebecca's sharp intake of breath carries across connection. "Amara, what level of evidence are we talking about?" "Video recording, multiple witnesses, documented pattern of disparate treatment, ironclad case." Third call connects to her sister Patricia, detective with NYPD. "Pat, I need favor. Can you shop somewhere in designer suit within the next hour? Bring Amex Black, full wealth display. I need to document something." From Amara's perspective, this transcends personal insult. Her mind processes implications like algorithm calculating damage. How many other customers faced similar treatment? How many black women, young people, anyone not fitting Derek's narrow definition of worthy customer? The statistical probability suggests systematic bias affecting dozens, possibly hundreds of people. She reviews her company's diversity policies on phone screen, reading corporate values that sound hollow after witnessing their street-level implementation. The disconnect between boardroom intentions and sales floor reality represents failure of leadership, her leadership. Her responsibility as CEO weighs heavily. This happened on her watch, in her store, representing her brand to communities she specifically committed to serve. The betrayal cuts deeper than personal humiliation because it violates trust she spent years building. Meanwhile, Derek inside feels victorious satisfaction. He tells Jennifer with obvious pride, "You have to trust your instincts in this business. That type doesn't belong here." Jennifer nods uncomfortably, her silence making her complicit in discrimination she witnessed but failed to challenge. Her moral cowardice enables Derek's bigotry, creating institutional support for individual prejudice. Derek calls his girlfriend during brief lull between customers. "Babe, you should have seen me handle this situation today. Kept some troublemaker from disrupting our high-end clientele. That's Management 101. His confidence is bulletproof, built on foundation of entitled prejudice that mistakes cruelty for competence. In his narrative, he's hero protecting business interests from undesirable elements who threaten natural order. Amara watches through window as Derek laughs with security guard, probably recounting the encounter with exaggerated details that transform discrimination into heroism. Her determination crystallizes into plan that will expose not just individual bias, but systematic failures enabling it. She opens laptop and begins documenting everything. Timestamps, witness descriptions, exact quotes recorded on phone, policy violations, federal law breaches. Her business mind processes evidence like prosecutor building airtight case. Have you ever been judged by your appearance? Share your story below. Let's talk about changing this together. Her sister Patricia walks toward the store entrance, and Amara starts recording everything. Patricia Williams enters wearing $3,000 0 cents Armani suit that screams money, carrying Hermes bag that costs more than Derek's monthly salary, every detail calculated to trigger his wealth recognition algorithms. His transformation is instant and nauseating. Warm smile replacing suspicious scowl. Professional posture replacing defensive stance. "Good afternoon. I'm Derek, the store manager. How can I provide exceptional service today?" His voice carries enthusiasm reserved for customers who meet his visual wealth requirements. Patricia follows Amara's script with Academy Award precision, requesting identical items her sister asked for. Bulgari collection, $120,000 0 cents emerald ring, $45,000 0 cents, tennis bracelet. Derek's response reveals the stunning hypocrisy of his earlier performance. "Absolutely. Let me prepare our private viewing room. Can I offer you champagne? Perhaps some Belgian chocolate truffles?" No mention of pre-qualification, bank statements, or price range concerns that materialized for Amara minutes earlier. From her window perch, Amara records Derek's complete personality transformation through coffee shop glass. Her phone captures every gesture, every smile, every accommodation that demonstrates how wealth presentation trumps human dignity in Derek's value system. Jennifer assists Derek, bringing out pieces on velvet trays with reverent care. The same merchandise Derek claimed was too valuable for casual examination becomes showcase display for Patricia's benefit. His earlier security concerns evaporate when confronted with proper wealth signals. "Between you and me," Derek shares conspiratorially, "we don't usually show these pieces to walk-in customers, but I can tell you appreciate true quality." The insider information flows freely, confirming Patricia's membership in Derek's exclusive club of worthy customers. Derek stumbles through technical questions about cuts and clarity, his superficial knowledge exposed when faced with Patricia's scripted inquiries. The contrast with Amara's expertise becomes stark. The woman Derek dismissed actually knew more about jewelry than the manager rejecting her. "Would you like to try anything on?" Derek asks eagerly, practically purring with sales anticipation. The same hands Derek demanded remain visible for suspicious activity are now encouraged to touch, examine, and wear the most expensive pieces in inventory. Patricia slips on the $120,000 0 cents ring, while Derek gushes, "It's absolutely stunning on you." The evidence accumulates with devastating clarity. Identical requests produce opposite responses based solely on visual presentation of wealth and race. Derek's bias creates perfect documentation of systematic discrimination that will survive any legal challenge. Other customers witness the disparate treatment without conscious recognition. The white couple purchasing Cartier pieces notice Derek's enhanced enthusiasm, but fail to connect it with his earlier hostility toward different customers. Patricia catches Amara's eye through window, both women sharing moment of grim satisfaction as Derek unknowingly builds case for his own destruction. His prejudice becomes his prosecutor, his discrimination his judge. Patricia looks directly at the window where Amara sits and gives the agreed-upon signal. Marcus Thompson enters during Patricia's browsing session, his presence triggering Derek's internal conflict between racial prejudice and wealth recognition. Marcus wears impeccably tailored Tom Ford suit, Swiss watch worth more than Derek's car, and carries himself with confidence that screams success. Derek's bigotry struggles to process black man who doesn't fit his narrow mental category. Derek approaches cautiously, his greeting noticeably cooler than Patricia's enthusiastic welcome, but warmer than Amara's hostile reception. "Good afternoon, sir. Can I help you find something specific?" The hesitation speaks volumes. Derek's racism wars with his greed, creating visible cognitive dissonance as he attempts to reconcile prejudice with profit motive. Marcus requests viewing of men's luxury watches, Rolex Presidential Collection, Patek Philippe pieces that represent serious money. Derek hesitates before responding, "Are you interested in financing options or—" The question he never asked Patricia emerges automatically for Marcus, despite obvious wealth signals. Even success can't completely overcome Derek's racial bias. Marcus handles the microaggressions smoothly, his response calibrated to expose Derek's assumptions. "Cash purchase, assuming the piece meets my standards." The subtle correction puts Derek on notice while maintaining plausible professionalism. Derek brings out selections but hovers closer than with Patricia, his body language broadcasting mistrust despite Marcus's obvious affluence. The spatial invasion is deliberate. Derek uses proximity to intimidate and monitor, treating successful black customer as potential threat requiring surveillance. Jennifer watches Derek's differential treatment patterns with growing discomfort. She recognizes the consistent bias in his customer interactions, but lacks courage to challenge behavior that might cost her job. Her complicity enables Derek's discrimination through institutional silence. From Amara's recording position, the disparate treatment becomes undeniable. Her phone captures Derek's body language differences, the measurable variations in service quality, the subtle but persistent discrimination that successful black customers face even when dressed for success. Marcus examines $85,000 0-cents Patek Philippe with expert appreciation, and Derek immediately interjects, "That piece has quite a wait list. We'd need significant commitment before reserving it." Translation: prove your worthiness beyond visual cues. Demonstrate financial reality rather than mere appearance. The same piece Patricia examined freely requires additional verification for Marcus. Derek's bias creates sliding scale of worthiness that places white women above black men, regardless of apparent wealth or professional bearing. From Derek's perspective, confusion reigns supreme. His prejudice framework lacks categories for successful black customers who challenge his assumptions about economic hierarchy. He applies inconsistent standards to resolve cognitive dissonance, creating perfect evidence trail of systematic discrimination. Patricia and Marcus exchange meaningful glances, both recognizing Derek's discomfort with their presence in his exclusive space. They're disrupting his comfortable worldview simply by existing with purchasing power that contradicts his racial stereotypes. Mara checks her watch. Time for the final test that will expose everything. Tyler Williams, Amara's 19-year-old nephew, enters wearing hoodie and distressed jeans that perfectly match Derek's worst prejudices about young black men. His casual attire and youthful appearance trigger Derek's most virulent biases, creating perfect storm of age and racial discrimination. Derek's reaction is immediate and severe. No greeting, no professional courtesy, just naked suspicion masquerading as security consciousness. "Can I help you?" His tone suggests Tyler's presence is unwelcome intrusion rather than business opportunity. I'm interested in seeing some engagement rings, Tyler says with practiced politeness, specifically the Bulgari collection. The same request that earned Patricia champagne service and Marcus cautious accommodation. Derek's laugh carries ugly satisfaction. Son, those pieces start at $50,000. Maybe you want to look at our starter collection? He gestures dismissively toward costume jewelry section, his condescension thick enough to cut with diamond blade. Tyler maintains composure despite the obvious insult. I understand the pricing. I'd like to evaluate the quality before making decisions. His reasonable response reveals Derek's assumptions about young black men's financial capacity and sophistication. I'm going to need to see some form of financial verification, Derek demands, his voice carrying authority of invented policy. We don't just pull out $100,000 pieces for browsing purposes. The same merchandise currently displayed across Patricia's viewing table requires financial verification for Tyler. The hypocrisy is so blatant it borders on comedy, except nothing about systematic discrimination is funny. Security guard gravitates toward Tyler automatically, his movements guided by unconscious bias that associates young black males with criminal intent. Derek nods approvingly, his prejudice reinforced by institutional support that mistakes racism for reasonable precaution. Actually, Derek continues with increasing confidence, I think it's best if you explore options more suited to your demographic. We have some nice pieces, under $1,000, that might be more realistic. The word demographic carries weight of centuries of discrimination, reducing Tyler to statistical category rather than individual customer. Derek's bias becomes systematic exclusion based on age, race, and appearance assumptions. From outside, Amara's recording captures Derek's most explicit discrimination yet. With Tyler, he abandons all pretense of professional courtesy, revealing true attitudes toward customers who don't match his preferred profile. Jennifer watches in growing horror as Derek's bias becomes undeniable. She realizes she's witnessing career-ending behavior that will destroy not just Derek, but potentially her own employment. The complicity weighs heavier with each discriminatory word. Tyler maintains dignity despite escalating humiliation. I'd just like to understand the craftsmanship, evaluate the value proposition for future reference. His articulate response challenges Derek's assumptions about young black men's intelligence and sophistication. The value proposition, Derek mimics mockingly, is that these pieces are for serious buyers, not window shoppers looking for social media content. The dismissal reduces Tyler's legitimate interest to generational stereotype about young people's motivations. Amara stands up, straightens her shoulders, and walks back toward the store that belongs to her. Amara enters while Derek continues humiliating Tyler, her presence immediately shifting atmospheric pressure like approaching thunderstorm. She carries herself differently now, not as dismissed customer but as someone reclaiming territory that was always hers. Tyler, how's the customer service here? She asks clearly, her voice cutting through Derek's condescending monologue like surgical blade. Derek spins around, annoyed recognition flickering across his features. Ma'am, I thought we already discussed. We discussed nothing, Amara interrupts, her voice carrying steel that stops Derek mid-sentence. What we experienced was discrimination, and what's happening now is evidence collection. She approaches Derek directly, no longer the dismissed customer but someone claiming space with absolute authority. The transformation is volcanic, controlled power erupting after long dormancy. I'm Dr. Amara Williams, CEO and founder of Williams Luxury Holdings. Derek's face cycles through confusion, recognition, and dawning horror as implications register like successive earthquake aftershocks. His confident prejudice crumbles into terrified understanding of consequences. Williams Luxury Holdings owns 47 retail locations across North America, including Prestige Diamond Gallery. Each word lands with precision of diamond cutting. This store, your employer, your paycheck, your future. Patricia approaches from the viewing room, her designer suit now revealing dual identity. Derek, I'm Detective Patricia Williams, Dr. Williams' sister. I've been documenting your treatment of customers for the past hour. Marcus joined the convergence, his expensive watch catching light as he extends hand toward Derek. "Marcus Thompson, CFO of Williams Luxury Holdings. I believe we need to discuss your employment status immediately." Derek's world implodes in real time. His confident discrimination becomes desperate scrambling for salvation that doesn't exist. The woman he humiliated controls his livelihood. The customers he served differentially documented his bias, and the authority he thought he wielded was always illusory. I didn't know. I was just following company policy." Derek stammers, his voice barely audible above the sound of his career disintegrating. "Company policy?" Amara's voice could cut diamond. "Show me where company policy requires financial verification from black customers, but not white ones. Show me where we teach employees to make assumptions based on clothing choices or age demographic." Jennifer steps forward, conscience finally overwhelming fear of professional consequences. "Derek, there's no such policy. You made those decisions yourself based on your own preferences." The truth lands like physical blow. Derek's discrimination was personal choice, not institutional directive. His attempt to hide behind corporate authority collapses, leaving him exposed as individual bigot rather than policy implementer. In the past hour, Amara continues with prosecutorial precision, "You've violated federal civil rights laws, state discrimination statutes, and every principle my company was built to embody. You've created hostile environment for customers based on race and age while representing my brand." Derek attempts damage control with desperate apologetics. "Dr. Williams, I sincerely apologize if there was any misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" Amara's laugh carries a bitter edge. "You called security on your own CEO. You demanded I prove worthiness to shop in my own store. You treated my nephew like criminal for requesting same service you gave my sister." Other customers watch in stunned silence as power dynamics completely reverse. The woman Derek humiliated now stands revealed as his ultimate authority. Her transformation from victim to judge, complete and devastating. "But here's what really bothers me," Amara continues, her voice dropping to dangerous quiet. "This isn't about me. I can handle discrimination. I've been fighting it for decades. This is about every customer who doesn't look like your preferred demographic." Derek's silence provides damning answer to unasked question about how many others suffered similar treatment. "Jennifer," Amara addresses the associate directly, "how often does this happen?" Jennifer hesitates before finding courage to speak truth. "Dr. Williams, Derek has patterns. Young customers, black customers, anyone he thinks can't afford merchandise, gets different treatment consistently. The systematic nature of Derek's discrimination becomes undeniable, not isolated incident but ongoing practice that violated company values. Daily. Mara picks up the store phone and Derek realizes his nightmare is just beginning. Amara's first call echoes through the store like execution bell. "Rebecca, we're proceeding with full legal documentation and immediate corporate response. I need crisis management team here within 30 minutes." Derek watches his comfortable life evaporate in real time. The confident manager becomes desperate employee, calculating mortgage payments, car loans, credit card debt, family responsibilities. The mathematics of prejudice suddenly include personal bankruptcy and professional exile. Rebecca Chen arrives first, followed by rapid succession of corporate representatives. HR Director Sarah Martinez, Regional Manager David Park, and legal documentation specialists carrying briefcases full of Derek's professional death warrant. "Derek Martinez," Sarah begins with formal precision, "you are terminated immediately for violation of company anti-discrimination policies, creation of hostile customer environment, and conduct detrimental to brand reputation." But termination represents merely opening movement in Derek's symphony of consequences. Rebecca outlines legal exposure with clinical detachment. Federal civil rights violations carry significant financial penalties. State discrimination laws add additional liability. The recorded evidence supports substantial damages claims. Derek's face drains color as reality penetrates his shock. I was just doing my job protecting company assets. Your job, David Park interrupts coldly, was providing excellent customer service to all clients regardless of appearance, race, age, or perceived economic status. You failed catastrophically and repeatedly. The corporate response is swift, comprehensive, and brutal. Every Derek interaction undergoes microscopic review. Jennifer provides detailed testimony about his discriminatory patterns, creating a broader picture of systematic bias that infected daily operations. Customer complaint records emerged during rapid investigation. Black customers complaining about treatment, young customers feeling unwelcome, inconsistent service standards based on appearance. Derek's discrimination has been documented for months, ignored by distant management focused on sales numbers rather than service quality. Amara addresses systematic failures with CEO's perspective. This isn't just about Derek's individual prejudice. This is about management systems that allowed discrimination to flourish unchecked in my company. Her questions expose institutional accountability gaps. HR admits Derek's references weren't thoroughly verified. Regional management confesses minimal oversight visits. Customer feedback systems failed to flag discrimination patterns or escalate bias complaints. Legal implications multiply beyond simple employment termination. Derek faces personal liability for civil rights violations. The store confronts potential federal investigation. Williams Luxury Holdings grapples with brand reputation damage that could affect all 47 locations. Rebecca explains Derek's legal exposure with attorney's precision. Civil rights lawsuits can result in significant personal financial damages. Federal violations may include criminal charges. State law violations add additional penalties. Your actions created consequences extending far beyond unemployment. Derek's desperate attempt at damage control reveals his fundamental misunderstanding. Dr. Williams, I'm truly sorry. I made mistakes, but I'm not racist. I have black friends, Latino colleagues. Stop, Amara interrupts with icy authority. Your actions define you, not your social circle. You systematically discriminated against customers based on race and age. That constitutes textbook racism, regardless of your personal relationships. Jennifer breaks down under weight of complicity. I should have spoken up months ago. I watched Derek treat customers differently based on appearance, but I was scared for my job. That's no excuse for enabling discrimination. Amara addresses Jennifer's complicity directly. Your silence enabled Derek's discrimination. While he actively harmed customers, your inaction allowed systematic bias to continue. Both carry moral responsibility. The corporate team implements immediate comprehensive reforms, mandatory bias training for all employees, customer feedback system overhaul, regular monitoring of service disparities, clear escalation procedures for discrimination complaints, mystery shopper programs specifically testing for bias. Marcus outlines financial consequences with CFO's analytical perspective. This store's profitability depends on diverse customer base. Derek's discrimination damaged relationships with entire communities. Lost sales, reputation repair costs, legal expenses. The financial impact will be substantial and lasting. Derek's personal reckoning deepens as broader implications crystallize. His wife will receive termination notification. His professional references are permanently compromised. His industry reputation is destroyed across luxury retail sector. Regional manager David Park commits to systematic oversight changes, monthly discrimination audits, mystery shopper programs targeting bias detection, management training emphasizing inclusive service standards, employee incentive systems rewarding equitable customer treatment. Legal team prepares comprehensive discrimination lawsuit, seeking not just financial damages, but precedent-setting corporate accountability. Other retail chains will monitor this case, understanding that discrimination carries severe individual and institutional consequences. Derek's final desperate plea. Please, Dr. Williams, I have family, mortgage payments, children's college funds. This will destroy everything I've built. Amara's response cuts through his self-pity. You should have considered those consequences before destroying other people's dignity. Your choices created these results. Personal responsibility includes accepting outcomes of personal decisions. The documentation continues. Witness statements, video evidence, pattern analysis, federal law citations. Derek's discrimination becomes case study in how individual prejudice creates institutional liability and personal destruction. Should companies face stronger consequences for employee discrimination? Tell us what you think. Change starts with corporate accountability. But Derek's consequences are just beginning. Public shame awaits beyond corporate walls. 2 weeks later, Derek sits across from unemployment hearing officer Margaret Chen, his application for benefits crumbling under legal scrutiny. Rebecca presents evidence with prosecutorial efficiency, video recordings, witness statements, documented discrimination patterns that paint Derek as liability rather than victim. Mr. Martinez, Officer Chen reviews case file with obvious distaste. You were terminated for cause due to discriminatory conduct that violated federal civil rights laws and company policy. Unemployment benefits are categorically denied. Derek's financial situation deteriorates with algorithmic precision. Without income, mortgage payments become impossible. Car payments default. Credit cards reach maximum limits. His comfortable, middle-class lifestyle collapses into desperate poverty within months. His wife Sarah discovers the full extent of his workplace behavior through news coverage and social media posts. Their marriage strains under combined pressure of financial stress and moral disappointment. I married someone I thought was better than this, she tells him during increasingly frequent arguments. Local news stations pick up the story. Jewelry store manager fired for discriminating against own CEO. Derek's face appears on evening broadcasts, social media platforms amplify his humiliation, and his reputation becomes permanently scarred across digital landscape. Former colleagues distance themselves rapidly. His professional network evaporates as word spreads throughout luxury retail industry. Job applications get rejected during background checks that reveal discrimination incident. Employers avoid hiring someone with documented bias record. Derek's mother calls from Arizona, her voice heavy with generational disappointment. Mijo, I raised you better than this. How could you treat people that way? Your grandmother faced discrimination her whole life. What would she think? The community response proves swift and unforgiving. Latino advocacy groups denounce his behavior, emphasizing that prejudice from any community is unacceptable. His ethnic identity provides no protection from consequences of discriminatory choices. Social media becomes Derek's permanent nightmare. Reviews of his professional conduct spread across platforms. Screenshots of news articles circulate endlessly. Public shaming follows him everywhere, creating digital scarlet letter that will haunt him indefinitely. Employment prospects vanish completely. Retail chains refuse hiring someone with discrimination record. Management positions become impossible dreams. Even entry-level jobs require explanations he cannot provide satisfactorily without revealing character flaws. Derek's family faces consequences of his choices daily. His teenage daughter experiences bullying at school. Your dad's the racist manager from the news. His son's college fund gets depleted as they struggle with basic expenses. Personal relationships crumble systematically. Friends become uncomfortable with association. Social invitations stop arriving. Derek's world contracts to family members willing to maintain contact despite his public shame. Legal consequences mount relentlessly. Civil rights lawsuit proceeds despite his unemployment, seeking damages that will follow him for decades. Federal investigation examines his employment history for additional discrimination patterns. Derek attempts image rehabilitation through diversity training programs, public apologies, community service, but his efforts appear calculated rather than genuine, designed to mitigate consequences rather than address underlying prejudices. His written apology to Amara gets rejected by legal counsel. Dr. Williams cannot accept communications from plaintiff in ongoing litigation. Focus on accepting responsibility for your choices. 6 months after termination, Derek works night shifts at warehouse, his management career permanently ended. The pay barely covers basic expenses, his family adjusting to dramatically reduced circumstances that reflect the true cost of prejudice. His wife Sarah files for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences and financial stress. "I can't rebuild my life while carrying the weight of your choices," she explains with finality, that cuts deeper than anger. Derek's isolation deepens as he confronts reality that discrimination destroyed everything he built: career trajectory, marriage stability, community standing, future prospects. The momentary satisfaction of putting certain people in their place cost him his entire life. Meanwhile, Amara's reforms begin transforming the entire luxury retail industry. Williams Luxury Holdings becomes case study in corporate transformation, their comprehensive anti-discrimination reforms setting new industry standards. Amara's systematic audit reveals shocking patterns across luxury retail sector. Widespread bias, masquerading as customer service standards. The reforms ripple through high-end retail like earthquake aftershocks. Mystery shopper programs specifically test for racial bias. Mandatory discrimination training includes real consequences for failure. Customer feedback systems are redesigned to catch disparate treatment patterns before they become systematic problems. Other CEOs take notice, with mixture of admiration and concern. Luxury brands implement similar programs, recognizing that discrimination damages profit margins alongside human dignity. Corporate America slowly understands that bias costs money, not just morality. Federal Trade Commission launches industry-wide investigation into discriminatory practices, using Williams' case as catalyst for broader enforcement. Retail discrimination transforms from ignored problem to regulated concern with measurable penalties. Jennifer, promoted to assistant manager after completing bias training, leads staff education on inclusive customer service. Every person entering deserves respect and excellent service, regardless of appearance, age, race, or perceived economic status. The store's culture transforms completely. New hiring emphasizes cultural competency alongside sales expertise. Employee evaluations include bias metrics. Customer satisfaction surveys specifically measure inclusive treatment across demographic categories. Revenue increases dramatically as previously alienated communities return to shop with confidence. Word spreads through social networks that Prestige Diamond Gallery provides equal treatment, drawing diverse clientele who faced discrimination at competitor locations. Young professionals of color, previously avoiding luxury retail due to expected bias, begin shopping confidently. Tyler becomes regular customer, his positive experiences shared widely across social media platforms, generating organic marketing more valuable than advertising. Industry publications feature Williams Luxury Holdings as transformation model, how one CEO turned discrimination crisis into competitive advantage. Business schools develop case studies examining corporate lessons from Derek's downfall. Amara speaks at retail conferences, sharing hard truths about systematic bias. Discrimination isn't just moral failure, it's business failure. Every customer we alienate through prejudice represents lost revenue and damaged reputation that affects entire industry. Her company's stock price rises as investors recognize that inclusive practices attract broader customer base with stronger loyalty patterns. Wall Street learns that equality drives profitability through expanded market access. Competitor chains struggle with discrimination scandals of their own, their failure to implement proactive reforms creating negative contrast with Williams Holdings' leadership position. Legal precedent strengthens enforcement mechanisms. Derek's case establishes clear personal consequences for employees engaging in discriminatory conduct, while corporate liability increases for companies failing to prevent bias. Training programs expand beyond Williams Holdings through industry-wide adoption of bias recognition and inclusive service standards. The entire luxury retail sector begins transformation from exclusive to accessible. 1 year later, Amara returns to the transformed store for a surprise that will complete her journey. 1 year later, Dr. Amara Williams enters Prestige Diamond Gallery wearing identical casual attire that triggered Derek's discrimination. The contrast strikes immediately. Warm greetings replace suspicious stares. Excellent service flows naturally. Genuine respect radiates from every staff interaction. Jennifer approaches with authentic smile that reflects transformed workplace culture. Dr. Williams, welcome back. How can we provide exceptional service today? The metamorphosis is complete and profound. New employees, hired through bias-free processes, represent diverse backgrounds while demonstrating consistent professionalism with all customers. The store's atmosphere radiates inclusivity and respect that attracts rather than alienates. Amara observes quietly as staff serve diverse clientele without discrimination. Young black couples selecting engagement rings receive identical attention as wealthy white customers. Elderly Latino man, browsing watches, gets expert assistance without condescension. Teenage girl window shopping receives friendly information without pressure to purchase. Marcus joins her for anniversary visit, his CFO perspective quantifying transformation. Revenue increased 43%. Customer satisfaction scores lead industry benchmarks. Employee retention reached record highs. Respect proves profitable. The store displays awards for inclusive excellence, community service recognition, customer satisfaction achievements. What began as discrimination crisis became competitive advantage through committed, systematic reform. Mara reflects on broader implications. This wasn't just about Derek or even this store. It demonstrated that systematic change requires deliberate action, not just good intentions or policy statements. She reviews customer feedback that validates transformation. Finally found jewelry store that treats everyone with respect. Staff here made me feel valued regardless of my background.